If you were a fan of Season 1 of Goblin Slayer, but maybe you felt like Season 2 hasn't been your cup of tea, I do have good news. I think episode 11 of Season 2 probably is one of the most Season 1 feeling episodes that we've had all season. And this comes from someone who has very much enjoyed Season 2. I said as much last week when I was talking about that I thought Season 2 has been getting too much hate. But I do, overall, prefer Season 1. Like, that's basically been my consistent opinion. I like Season 1 more than Season 2, but that doesn't mean I hate Season 2. I absolutely love the characterization. I think Goblin Slayer's characterization has been phenomenal as an example. But I do enjoy that even when the production isn't exactly Season 1 to me, where I feel like maybe it's not as crazy at certain points, I mean, an episode like this really comes in and not only has the structure and I think formula that a lot of people enjoyed about Season 1, I've enjoyed going off the track, going onto the ocean, or to the riverside, or doing different things. We had like a dinosaur-looking creature being rode by a cowboy goblin. That stuff's awesome to me. But for those who wanted a more classical style episode with some pretty great animation, this episode delivered. It really did. And I think watching them go up, and we haven't seen scrolls used since Season 1 after we blasted that one fool because they're hard to come by. Goblin Slayer literally opens up a portal to suck in probably 8 or maybe even a dozen goblins, and he just casually says, yeah, I opened a portal in the sky. So somewhere in this world, goblins are raining down and splattering on someone's front yard, and that is the most Goblin Slayer thing I think I've seen all season of Goblin Slayer. But I think it's when they get down after they take the elevator and there's 20 goblins. We're trying to rescue this princess who has this shaman priest diddler over here trying to do some ritual, and Goblin Slayer and the gang they're going wild. There's some clean shots, and it just felt like, man, this felt like classic Season 1. And as someone who likes Season 2 and likes that they're doing things different, it's hard not to get a little excited when an episode does feel exactly like the show you originally fell in love with. And I'm really excited for the finale next week. Now, of course, I do have a full live reaction to today's wonderful Goblin Slayer episode over on my Patreon, so if you would like to see my full length thoughts as we watch today's episode, it's over there if you're interested. Now, I like this episode, and I like it a lot. I mean, it's not often you get to see Goblin Slayer just kick a goblin in the nuts, and I'm like, okay, how do you not get a kick out of this? No pun intended, how do you not get a kick out of this? So, he puts up this barrier, the shaman dude, and we're trying to rescue this princess, right? And after the barrier's all done, which is a really cool way they dealt with it. So we have the purify spell from the goddess, right? And there's these little blood tracks that are being filled by all the dead bodies, and that's kind of powering up the barrier. So we purify that and the barrier goes down. All this man can do, all this goblin can do is hold the princess hostage, because what else can you do? You know, this isn't a fighter here. This is someone who has to use bargaining and blackmail, and Goblin Slayer just... The first time, so there's this little goblin who approaches, I think he has a club, and he just kicks him away, man. He's just swatting him away like he's a fruit fly. And Goblin Slayer deadass walks up to this guy, kicks him in the nads, and then just basically says it's Goblin Slaying time, and then beats his head in. This is the most badass thing I think I've seen this dude do all season, because it's on one hand hilarious that he kicked a goblin in the nuts, in a scene that was supposed to be if you get too close, I'll kill her. He just disrespects him like that. And he deserves it, don't get it twisted, but it's hilarious. And it was also just badass all mixed into one. But it's so nice to see the gang just feel like a well-oiled machine. And this is the thing that I've been talking about the entire time I've talked about Goblin Slayer. Whether it was my Season 1 video, or it's the videos that I've done with any sort of action in this season of Goblin Slayer. And that is, it's not just all swinging swords or rapidly firing arrows. There is precision. There is these teamwork. And Goblin Slayer is inspired by D&D. That's why the dice were a big part of Season 1 and the rolling, right? It's like someone playing a D&D campaign. And the idea that as they're going down the elevator, they don't just stand and be like, so what you guys have for breakfast? No, what you should be doing if you're going on a rescue mission is preparing. And this is what makes Goblin Slayer action so good. Because even if some of the actual action scenes are just them at face value swinging a sword or doing some basic maneuvers, we know these characters have a game plan, like the idea of preparing. If we remember in Season 1, what ended up happening, they got poisoned and, we make a kind of homemade gas mask with charcoal and some cloth and everything. And I love the idea that they're preparing, so what happens if that occurs again? Well, I have this kind of antidote we could put on our clothes. Actually, how about I use my purifying spell first? That would actually look a little better. They just go over all the plans of where's my position gonna be? Where's your position gonna be? What happens if they drop poison on us? What happens if this? And I'm just like, this is what's good about this show. is it's far more than just angry goblin slaying boy hits goblins aggressively and everyone says thank you daddy. No, this is a well-oiled machine. This is a party that's been together for a hot minute now, and they know the ins and outs of each other's behavior and what they can do, how they can complement for the other's shortcomings. And rather than Goblin Slayer having to rely on a lot of items like he would if he was solo, he now has a party to back him. And then watching them kick ass and take names, yeah, it was pretty fantastic, and I just love the overall setting, the scenery. I mean, I'm a sucker for any winter scenes, which is why I really like the Goblin Slayer movie, because it was a winter movie, right? It was just a nice change of pace. And I didn't mention it last week, to be honest, I didn't recognize her when I first watched the episode, but the girl from the movie who kind of parts ways at the end, that is her, and now we kind of have like the confirmation of where she went. I mean, I had some people like really question why I didn't bring it up. Well, one, I didn't really realize at the start, and two, there's not really much to say, right? It's not like she came in and saved the day. It's like, oh, good, she's living life, proud of her, right? Like, let's see where her character goes, of course, but it's nice to see her again, but it's not like she did anything too crazy other than here I am, and it's like, yeah, that's nice, but we got more important things to deal with, sort of a thing. But I appreciate it because they also surprisingly gave us content with the hero party, which I feel like what they're trying to build up here is, I'm not sure if it would be a season 3 content, but I think they're in general in the same area right now, and I kind of feel like what's going to happen with these three is they're going to, I'm not sure like recruit would be the word I'd use, but I feel like they're going to be the start of getting Goblin Slayer on the hero path, because that's something season 2's been establishing. Goblin Slayer originally had the dream to be a hero, go slay the dragon, be the big hero. But most importantly, there's going to be something, according to, you know, just different characters that Goblin Slayer will need to focus on more than just goblins, and these characters seem to be the ones who will probably be able to pull him towards. What was interesting was actually the brother, so the king or the ruler, whatever you want to call him. I mean, he was kind of a douchebag last week and kind of was like, listen, I can't just, it'd be irresponsible of me to go save my sister because she was a fool. But what actually he's saying is, like, at face value, I gotta be a stern ruler so people respect me, but behind the scenes, I'm gonna send a rescue party because I do love my sister at the end of the day. And I'm like, okay, that's actually a pretty nice gesture. I mean, she did run away from you, so you probably are a piece of shit, but I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, maybe she's just an idiot. I don't know, but either way, just a damn good episode. I mean, people can feel how they want about season 2. My overall thought has been it's been a very good season. I think episodes like these are quite amazing, personally. There are certain shots you can pick apart as being stiff and not really that well produced, but in general, I think a majority of this episode really felt like a good quality season 1 episode, and I'm excited to see how they're going to wrap it up next week, but let me know what you thought down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we have a full live reaction over on my Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, you'll also get a video shout out. So today we have Mr. Yawk, Lelouch, CC, Proof Space, SW Mogram, Amber, Hakari Oni, and Jamons9173. I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. Have a good one.